here we are. Let's see if you can all see me and hear me, but I think you can. I think we're about to get started. We're on the stream, that's amazing. On the stream, yeah, sounds good. All right, hey, good morning. For those of you watching, my name is Toby. I am 41 years old. I train to live an active, self-sufficient, and adventurous life. And after last week's successful bake-off, today we're going to make pancakes. I'm joking, don't worry, we're not going to revisit that adventure again. But we are taking a slightly different approach on Sunday morning because I have a few minutes before I go out on my run before it is actually dawn. As I do prefer running when the light is coming out, especially through the forest and nature. It's also not allowed. You're not allowed to run there unless the sun is shining or before dawn. So complying with the rules and laws of the land. And I figured we could take a few minutes on Sunday mornings to talk about some topics maybe a bit more in depth or to a greater extent. So I have my monitor there. If you want to ask me any questions, you can. And I'm already dressed in my running gears in a couple of minutes. After the chat, when I've had my coffee, I'm going to head out for a little run. But like I said, my name is Toby. I'm 41 years old. I train to live an active, self-sufficient, and adventurous life. I do so by minding my sleep. I try to get between 7 and 9 hours in a night. And last night was 6:45-ish, so almost 7, which I think is good. Anything above 6 is okay, as long as I'm hitting that 7.5, 8-hour mark most of the days. So probably going to have an early night tonight again. I try to mind what I eat. I try to eat within my energy balance, which is around 2,200 calories. I know, shocking. I weigh around 88 kilos. I'm 1 meter 84 tall, and I'm relatively active. And still, that is about the amount I can eat to stay at the weight that I want to be at and to maintain my general weight and health. So do with that information what you may want. I try to eat a lot of greens, a lot of vegetables, and I try to eat 120 to 150 grams of protein in a day to hit my strength and health goals, muscle building goals. I show up to do some strength work. I show up to do some conditioning work. I show up to do some mobility work. And on top of that, I try to spend time with people I love and care about, try to do things that I enjoy, and generally try to live a stress-free life. So hey, if that's something you're interested in, then go ahead, check out my channel, check out my videos, watch them till the end, because I'm not really good at the first 10 seconds. I know it's something I need to work on, but hopefully there's some useful insight or information in the video as you watch. And as you can see, I tend to spend a bit more time on videos in my kitchen in this setup rather than over there on the workout mat, especially when we talk about general health and fitness and the implications of that for life as we age. And it's a topic that I care about very much. It's one of the reasons why I've tried to adopt an active lifestyle. I would hope that, through listening to me and watching me, maybe other people will do so as well. Anyway, today we're going to talk a bit about long-term health. And there are a couple of reasons why I think this is concerning. That's the coffee. And why I think we might want to pay a bit more attention to that, not only for ourselves as we hit our 30s, 40s, and 50s, but also looking at the generations to come and what kind of challenges that is going to pose later in life. Because I think exceptions being exceptions, right? Generally, the way we live when we are children, teenagers, is going to inform a lot of how we live later on in life. That has to do with food, that has to do with sleep habits, that has to do with socialization, that definitely also has something to do with exercise. And I think one of the worrying statistics in the country where I'm from, and I'm from the Netherlands, I live in Amsterdam, right? One of the worrying statistics that I've come across is that in this country, only 1/3 of the 12 to 18-year-olds moves enough. So that's around 300,000 people who are actually moving sufficiently. That leaves around 750,000 people who on a day-to-day basis or week-to-week basis do not move sufficiently. And when I talk about health, we talk about sleep, we talk about nutrition, we talk about movement. When we don't move enough at a young age, we don't give our body the chance to develop, right? When we don't move at an older age, we don't give our bodies the chance to stay healthy and keep regenerating and growing stronger for the challenges and demands that life might throw at us. On top of the statistics, it's not that the other 700,000 don't move at all. It's just that only 72% is active weekly, so once a week, basically. That does leave 28% who is not even active weekly, which is, by the other calculation, 280, 209,000 people. Again, barring exceptions, right, or adding the nuance there that for some people it is impossible. Some people, there are life conditions that prevent them from engaging in those kinds of things. Overall, in a generally healthy population, capable population, maybe I should say, I'd expect that number to be higher. The reason I find this important is because physical health is, again, barring the exceptions where that is not possible, but for the general population that is capable of just attaining and having this relative normal physical health, it is a direct result of our lifestyle. It's a direct result of the things we do, which are how well we're sleeping, how well we're eating, and how well we're moving. And there are a couple of little facts to kind of frame this in for ourselves, right? So if we look at very young people's body, developing their physical capabilities are developing, and some of the things that they develop over the course of their youth stay steady for a certain amount of time in adulthood before they start declining. So I'm just going to walk through a couple of markers of aging, long-term health, to help us understand how developing a lifestyle that is relatively active, geared towards developing and using our bodies properly, and when we're teenagers, is probably going to help us as we are older and as we age to stay healthy longer and to stay more capable longer, which is what I always say my channel is about, right? It's not about the way I look, it's about the way I feel. I want to feel fit, capable, and competent for whatever life is going to throw at me. I'm 9 years shy of turning 50, so there's a lot to be said for me being mindful about this in my life. And if you're watching, maybe you have the same intention or plans, or maybe this is the first time you actually think about that. So the first thing that we need to realize is that the maximum aerobic capacity of our body, of our physical system, will decrease by about 1% a year after we hit 30. This is just a natural process, right? There's a lot of natural deterioration that starts to happen after 30. But so imagine that you are capable of doing very intense sprints, but also running for an extended period of time, like I'm going to do in a moment, with relative ease all through your teens and 20s. By the time you hit 30, the years after that, you're going to slowly realize that you're going to have to work a little bit harder to maintain the same level of health and fitness. I'm just going to have a sip of that coffee because otherwise I made it for nothing. So that's worth keeping in mind, that we build up certain lifestyles and certain habits that define that aerobic capacity, right? If we're into endurance sports and endurance athletes, into track and field, those kinds of things, we enter our teens, 20s with relatively well-defined aerobic capacity. And even then, it is going to decline at a rate of about 1% beyond our 30th year. So if we want to stay as capable, as fit in our 30s, 40s, and 50s as we were in our 20s, we are going to have to engage in aerobic exercise to maintain the capacity of that system. That's one, right? The second one is bone density. That also starts to decrease when we're 30. And bone density is very interesting, right? Because the skeleton is protective, but it also is structural. Mr. White, hey, thanks for dropping by, and I appreciate you dropping by and saying hello. I hope you're doing well today, and I hope you're having a good end of the day, if it is Saturday night, or start of the day if it's Sunday morning, where you are this morning. I'm about to go out for my run, but we're just standing and chatting, trying out a new format on Sunday morning. I hope it is worthwhile, but we'll find out in the comments and the views. It is 12:20 a.m., so I'm guessing you're either out clubbing or just getting home and getting ready to go to bed. YouTube Punk, how's Texas? Good to see you, buddy. I hope you're doing all right. And I hope life is treating you well, and I hope you're doing all right. And for you, I definitely know it's nearing the end of the day. For me, it's the start of the day, and I'm about to go out for a run once I finish my little chat about long-term health and fitness. That would have been something, right? 46, yeah, right, I know that feeling. Responsibilities in life, isn't that a thing? So bone density decreases after 30, and there's an interesting thing we need to understand about bone density, is if we have kids, or if we're involved in education of teenagers or coaching of any kind, is that the challenges we are exposed to as we age define bone density and bone structure. So not just talking about physical activity, also what we eat, whether we're getting enough vitamins, minerals, etc. But the stronger our bone density is entering our 20th to our third decade, basically, the better off we are, because it will start to deteriorate later on. So if that base is solid, that foundation is solid, you can offset some of the problems later on in life, or at least push them further out into the future. I think that's something that we tend to forget. It's maybe something we didn't know when I was a child, even though they told us to drink milk because it was good for our bones, right? So your bone density will also start to decrease after you're 30. The good news is you can work towards maintaining it or challenging it to keep it strong and healthy, which is going to help you with your structure, with your ability, with your stability. But it's something that we need to be mindful of. So we have aerobic capacity with bone density, structure. Let's talk about the big one, right? When we are talking about lifting weights. Yeah, I'm doing fine also. Thanks for asking. And I'm glad to see you drop by again a bit more regularly. I guess you had a busy couple of weeks. Life takes over, and I hope you're getting those workouts in. And if you're doing any interesting workouts, let me know. How's that program paying off, by the way, the one your friend wrote for you? I hope it's doing what you wanted it to do. So the final point is muscle and strength loss. All right. Luckily, this gets pushed out a bit further. I think you'll notice a change in your fourth decade, probably coming out of your 30s, out of your 20s into your 30s. I think when I started training in my 30s, I felt it was still relatively easy to recoup strength and to build muscle and to get stronger. I think my biggest challenge has just always been weight maintenance and the balance between lean mass and fat mass. But muscle and strength loss, definitely after 50, you will start to see a decline, also around 0.5 to 1% every year. And this is, of course, challenging and problematic for a number of reasons, right? Muscles are the motor of our movements. Muscles are the way we sit down, get up, move around. And actually, anecdote, my parents, because they're in their 70s, started recently to do a course on how to prevent themselves from falling. And I think 10 or 12 weeks in, the change in ability is palpable. It's not like they were completely inactive, but they were not the most active people from a day-to-day basis. And due to certain health risks and health problems, they were forced themselves to kind of engage a bit more in this kind of activity. And yesterday they also showed me some of the exercises that they're doing, and they actually showed me physically, and they were very actively playing with their grandchildren. And it was so lovely to see, because weeks before there would be more sitting rather than chasing them around or moving around with them. So even at a later age, this loss of muscle and strength can be reversed, or at least halted, with the right kind of stimulus and the right kind of approach. But looking at the three big hallmarks specifically of long-term physical health, you want to have some aerobic training to maintain that aerobic capacity. You want to have some challenge to your bone structure, to the pressure there, to make sure that it keeps building strength and density. And you want to challenge your muscle and strength and to build that muscle mass. And again, coming back to what we do when we're younger and through our 20s and 30s into our 40s, right, is building and maintaining that healthy lean mass, so that when we start to naturally deteriorate and lose muscle mass, the impact won't be as palpable early on, and maybe we can push out and postpone some of the adverse effects of that on our health and fitness. And then a few years ago, so I didn't rest stress entirely. Oh, wow, that's cool. Yeah, that is definitely fun, rollerblading. It's good cardio exercise. Is it a social thing? Like, is it a club? Because, we talk a lot about health and fitness, and I'm at fault for this on my channel as well, because it's always just me working out here in my kitchen. So it seems like health and fitness is something we do on our own, but actually social connection and belonging are as much an important part of health and longevity as keeping ourselves fit and healthy to engage in those social activities. I'm doing it alone right now. I think, it's like cycling and running. It's a great time to relax and get some me time and clear our heads, right? And I think trying to stay stress-free is also one of my ambitions and goals in life. It's not always possible, but try to do it as much as possible, because I think that is also one of the keys to living longer and healthier lives. Hey, look, it's 6:30. I think I have covered all of the topics that I wanted to cover right on long-term health in this chat. So when I say that physical health is a direct result of lifestyle, within the nuance that we're talking about people for whom it is within reasonable who have reasonably have the capability to actually achieve that health, which is probably the largest part of the population. And we see the numbers, because numbers don't get a lot better in the different age brackets, but we see that habits and behaviors are already poor when we're teenagers going into our 20s. In our 20s, when we're studying, we know lifestyle and health is definitely a second or third consideration. It only starts to become important later in life when we start to lose health. We are going to increase the burden and problems at an individual level, but also at a societal level. I think having that conversation is probably meritful, because one-on-one, as an individual, I would not want to spend too many years of my life being incapable, dependent, reliant on medication and care if it is not absolutely necessary. And apparently there's a lot of things that we can do that will make it less necessary, not entirely unnecessary to depend on care, but less necessary over time. And that's all I have for you today. I'm sorry. When am I usually online? Usually online around this time, between 5 a.m. and 6 a.m. my time, so that would be between 11 and 12 in your part of the world, give or take, until the time changes. And it's going to be a different time, of course. But I try to get up early because I have 2 small kids, and if I don't take this time of day to do my workouts and to get out the door and get ready, then I lose the time entirely. Usually you can see the live stream announced about 24 hours ahead of time on my channels if you turn on the notifications. Friends, thanks for dropping by, for having this chat with me, for listening. Like I always say, I'm 41 years old and I'm training to live an active, self-sufficient and adventurous life. I do so by minding my sleep, minding what I eat, showing up and being active, strength training, mobility training, conditioning training, spending time with people I love and care about, doing things that I enjoy, and trying to live a stress-free life. This is about the way I feel, not about the way I look. I don't have aesthetic goals. I think the athletic shape of my body is a nice plus from the active lifestyle that I have. But I'm, beyond that kind of stage in my life where that matters a lot. I would like to feel fit, capable, and competent for what life throws at me, which, if you're in your 40s and you have responsibilities, demands, and commitments, can be quite a bit. And I found that being physically healthy and capable helps me deal with the daily stresses of life a lot better. We're good just the way we are. We've got to love ourselves before we can move on. And the only way to get anything done, friends, is by showing up and doing the work. So I'm going to put on my running shoes, my cap, and head out into the cold for a nice morning run at the break of dawn. Take care, friend. Remember to subscribe, and I will see you tomorrow. YouTube Punk, Mr. White. I appreciate both of you dropping by today and spending this time with me. Take care.